Green King IPA. Could you say no to another?
How am I going to get through this without folk branding me a total nutter? Some celebrity deaths are either staged, totally faked, sinister, or never actually happened. And some are not. Okay, stay with me. I'm not a Sunday sport journalist. I'm not going to be saying Elvis has been found on the moon.
Has he?
Or Jimi Hendrix is alive and was an active member of Take That.
Was he?
But I am going to reveal some major flaws and some interesting cover-ups with regards to some celebrity deaths and suicides. Welcome to Dot 12, Celebrity Deaths and Suicides. Over the years, even the completely asleep public have twitched the odd eyebrow or shrugged a disbelieving shoulder at some of the circumstances relating to some of the celebrity deaths. When folk hear that one of their favourite music stars or film actors or television personalities have died, they tend to act like they knew them and knew them well. I can remember years ago a lady collapsing in my local pub because she'd just been told that Roy Orbison had died. Bizarre. She never met him. She never knew him, only his music. I'm sure he was a decent guy, but wow. My point is that people will close their minds to any sinister or weird happenings to do with celebrity deaths, pure and simply because they don't want what happened to be true. And they want the mental picture of them that they have concocted to be the only picture of them. I get it, but that doesn't mean now sinister really happened. Well, I'm going to talk about some of the most famous deaths and some of the not so famous celebrity deaths. But these all have a backstory and all need questions answered. Obviously, all these deaths are very tragic, and I don't want to make light of this, but there is something very fishy about them. And without humour in our lives, we won't survive, and they will win. The 1%ers, the elite. But truth will win. I'm going to start with probably the most talented and gifted live performer the world has ever seen, Buster Bloodvessel.
No, it's not him.
Huh? Was it? Oh, was it? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Michael Jackson. Close enough. Michael died in 2009, just 3 weeks before the start of his concert tour titled This Is It. I mean, the name of the concert tour automatically sends a cold shudder down any sceptical backbone. In a nutshell, they say that Michael, and everybody could see that his health was deteriorating, especially his mental health, died of a cardiac arrest in a rented LA apartment brought on by an overdose of anesthetic and antidepressant drugs. These were administered by his personal physician, or doctor in our language, Conrad Murray, to help Michael with his sleeping disorder. Well, that worked. Murray was eventually charged with involuntary manslaughter and served less than 2 years of a 4-year prison sentence. A patsy, an idiot, or both?
Both.
Michael was pronounced dead at 2:26 LA time on June the 25th. Watch this footage, and now the questions begin. Is this Michael Jackson walking? Yes, walking into the morgue? Also, listen to what Michael had to say before his untimely death.
You know, let me just say this. The tradition of great performers from, and I really want you to hear what I have to say. The tradition of great performers from Sammy Davis Jr. to James Brown to Jackie Wilson, to Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly. The story is usually the same, though. You know, these guys work really hard at their craft, but the story ends the same. They usually are broken, torn, and usually just sad, and the story is very sad in the end, because the companies take advantage of them. They really do. And Sony being being the artist that I am at Sony, I've generated several $1 billion for Sony, several billion, and they really thought that my mind is always on music and dancing, and it usually is, but they never thought that this performer, myself, would outthink them.
Yeah!
And Tommy Mottola is a devil.
Respect!
This sparked a conspiracy that carries on to this day. Obviously, because of how famous Michael had become, the death was always going to be an interrogation of blame. But nearly 15 years ago, wow, that long ago already, it's still festering under the surface. And there was plenty more celebrity deaths that happen to happen not long after they say something they shouldn't have. Let's go back a little further. Marilyn Monroe. Most know that she was involved in some way with the US president at the time, John F. Kennedy. That alone would have cause for concern in her death, but there are plenty more suspicious circumstances that shroud her death. I'm not going to go into it in too much detail. What caused her maid to wake up at 3 a.m. and find her bedroom light still on? Why was the first person the maid called Marilyn's shrink? When the shrink got there and knew she had passed away, why did he call her personal doctor, or physician if you're American, instead of the police? During the autopsy, it was declared she had taken an overdose of prescribed drugs. These were in capsule form. There were 2 coroners present, and one mentioned later that the capsules, or outer casings, should still have been in her system during the autopsy, but they weren't. The head coroner refused to listen to this. Plus, they had found a small puncture wound, that of a needle presumably, under her left breast. Could this be where someone had injected her? Murdered her? Who knows? You be the judge. Back to more recent times now. Isaac Kappy is another. Who's he, you say? Well, Isaac was an up-and-coming actor who starred in the films Terminator Salvation and Thor, among others. He died in 2019 at the young age of 42. Threw himself off a bridge into oncoming traffic, allegedly. Shortly before his suicide, Kappy publicly accused certain actors of paedophilia, stating that he was sick of how rife it was in Hollywood.
I don't care. I've already been blacklisted. They can't double blacklist me. They can try to kill me. You know.
Now, a lot of actors, young and old, have been saying this lately, but Isaac Kappy named names. Did he throw himself off the bridge, or is there something more sinister behind it? He had actually stated on one of his self-made videos that if he commits suicide, then something has gone terribly wrong. I know that doesn't mean he did, or he didn't, but he was adamant that certain folk were after him. Paranoid. Shortly after his death, stories and conflictions began to appear. First, he was said to have been alone on the bridge, but then when witnesses came forward and stated that they had seen 2 other people on the bridge with him, the story changed. Now there seemed to be 2 people on the bridge with him, trying to coax him away from jumping into the oncoming traffic. Suspicious? Kappy was definitely outspoken and was definitely accused of being a loudmouth within Hollywood. But did he really commit suicide? I don't think we'll ever know. Another celebrity that died after saying something they shouldn't have was Joan Rivers. A little older, this celebrity, but at the age of 81 went into hospital for a routine operation and never came back out. The doctors, after a malpractice lawsuit against them by Joan's daughter, accepted responsibility for Joan's death. So straight away, it wasn't a normal death. What did she say? Oh yeah, sorry. As Joan was walking up the steps into the hospital, she turned back to reporters and shouted that Barack Obama was a homosexual and that Michelle Obama was really a man. More on that in another video.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
I know she was a comedian, and very controversial one at that, but I think she either overstepped the mark or the powers that be found a perfect opportunity to shut her up for good. Quite recently, Matthew Perry, he of Friends fame, he played Chandler Bing, don't you know, passed away in his hot tub in October 2023. Like most other celebrity deaths, not a lot of mainstream media inquiry went on, because Perry was battling an alcohol addiction and over-the-counter drug issues. What again? But if you dig deeper, his death was very sinister. Like Isaac Kappy, he too was about to expose a massive satanic paedophile ring. Because of this, he knew he was being targeted. He was constantly posting on social media, mainly Batman symbols. One of his last posts on Instagram was a Batman symbol and the words, "Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you?" What does that mean? Well, when a Batman symbol is projected into the sky in the comics or in the movies, it means someone is in trouble and needs help. Matthew knew they were after him and wanted to warn his fans. Jennifer Aniston, one of his co-stars in Friends, reported that she had been texting him on the day of his death and he was in good health and in a very good mood. Also, on the other side of the friendship table, was a rapper named Doja Cat. Have a look at her meme. It is a replica of the Friends couch, where the Friends cast had done a publicity poster previously. This time, instead of Friends, it reads Demons, as all her work is based around satanic worshipping, etc. Also, note that in between the letters are dots. This was originally representing the cast members in the Friends version. There's a dot missing in the Doja Cat representation. Is that a sign of Matthew Perry not being there? She has now deleted the video. Well, well, well. This was before his death, don't forget. So let's break this down. Matthew was about to expose a paedophile ring in Hollywood. He was sending out Batman symbols. He was in good health on the day he died. And a satanic rapper is foretelling his death in a publicity poster. Oh, and one more thing. One of Matthew Perry's last posts was releasing 3 cranberries onto a table and saying, "This is what I've had to eat today." Huh? Was this because he knew what was going to happen to him? As in 2018, Dolores O'Riordan, the lead singer of the Cranberries, had died in a bathtub. Once again, you be the judge. Numerous other celebrities that were about to expose Hollywood for what it really is have died throughout the years. Paul Walker, the Fast and Furious actor, died in 2013. About to expose paedophilia in the Philippines, perhaps? Died in a car accident, but there is CCTV footage of the accident. I can't show you it because of YouTube guidelines, but it shows the car exploding before it hits a concrete lamppost. Porsche were blamed and a lawsuit was settled. How convenient. Less recent was John Lennon, shot in the back in New York City in 1980 by a fan, Mark David Chapman. Blimey, all these patches seem to have 3-word names. We all know, at least the older viewers know, how outspoken John Lennon was.
I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends. You know, if anybody can put on paper what our government and the American government, etc., and the Russian, what they are actually trying to do, you know, and what they think they're doing, I'd be very pleased to know what they think they're doing. I think they're all insane.
Even further back, JFK. That's definitely a video on its own. And the infamous Jeffrey Epstein and his infamous island retreat and his flight logs of famous folk, which is probably the link to all the paedophilia exposing deaths. Another video on that to come too. There are tons more. Some have sinister backstories, some not so sinister, or even well hidden. Whitney Houston, bathtub again. The fact that Oprah Winfrey was at her funeral sets off the evil siren. Whitney's daughter, Bobby, bathtub yet again. Brittany Murphy, Heather O'Rourke, Princess Diana, Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye, Steve Irwin, Tupac, Elvis, Jill Dando, Dorothy Kilgannon, Natalie Wood, Anthony Bourdain. I could go on and on and on. Oh, what a deceitful world we live in. There is nothing more weird or strange or mysterious than the biggest death conspiracy, the 27 Club. Before I expose this unbelievable coincidence, let me list them quickly. Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, Brian Jones, Alan Wilson, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Ronald McKernan, Dave Alexander, Pete Ham, Chris Bell, Kristen Pfaff, Stretch Walker, Jeremy Ward, Richie Edwards, Fredo Santana, all musicians. There's also been some actors like Anton Yelchin and Jonathan Brandis, to name just two, and also sports stars, etc., etc. This 27 Club is far beyond coincidence. Something doesn't sit right. So many up and coming, so many barely established, some well-established musicians passing away at a very young age of 27. Of course, there's been scientific research on this strange phenomenon, and of course, it's nothing sinister. It's to do with being at a vulnerable, unpredictable age. Okay, if that's what the science says, no more probing then. Wrong. I have a theory. Unlike you to use theory, I hear you whisper quietly. I know, but I don't have an answer, so I'm going to give it my best guess. My guess is based on all the other sinister deaths. I'm going to put this to you. What if you're an up-and-coming star in the music business? You're desperate to get a contract. You'll do anything to get a break. You get offered a lucrative contract from a music mogul or a well-known record label. But, and it's a big but, you have to follow their path. Now say you don't agree with this path because you don't agree with the methods. I mean, look at the musicians today. This is the path they are taking. Poor little Sam Smith was such a quiet young man once. Oh, poor little Taylor Swift was such an innocent gal once. Oh, poor old aging Madonna. She was such a... No, she weren't. Never was, never will be. There is even proof that certain celebrities get coaxed into attending a "you've made it" party, only for individuals to have their drinks spiked and let's say conduct themselves in a compromising manner, all this is caught on camera.
And this was used for blackmail material. They'd bring in these people. A lot of these people were also aspiring young artists in the music industry. And then these parties were sponsored by Motown Records CEO, Universal Records CEO. This goes all the way to the top. And so you get these people in compromising situations. The drinks were laced. The videotapes were hot. And then at the end of the day, you wake up the next morning, what did I do? And then they have compromising material on you. And then they can guide your career. They could kill your career, but they got you.
Bang. They are now under the spell of the elite. They will do almost anything to keep their money, their fame, their name, and to not have these videos exposed. The ones who don't probably end up taking their own lives. The ones that do end up like Sam Smith or Taylor Swift or other copious celebrities that spill their shite. But sadly, this is where it really can get ugly. All this satanic crap is watched by our kids. They have so much influence on the young in our society. There you go, targeting the children once again. Be careful, parents. You may think music is innocent, but it ain't. Well, that's the end of Dot 12. Thanks for watching again, and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. And please don't forget to comment if you think I'm right, or if you think I'm wrong, or if you think I've missed somebody off. The world's definitely getting a weird place. Thanks again, and I'll see you in Dot 13.
Both.